Okay, so let's get started. Hi, my name is Bobby Thakur. I'm a counseling psychologist and CEO of Counsel India, and I welcome you on the platform of Counsel India, and especially for this mental health talk show. I hope you are aware that Counsel India is an organization which is helping people to have their good or safe mental health. So we offer various counseling sessions, we offer various training programs for you people so that you can be updated and you can learn about mental health or emotional health or psychology. So to make you more aware or to make you learn something related to anxiety or you know I know that anxiety is the common issue nowadays and people are talking about anxiety. People are feeling suffering with anxiety, especially due to this pandemic. The pandemic has increased the anxiety. So a new name has come, the coronavirus or the pandemic anxiety. So today, to demystify this, to understand it in a simplified way, we have a guest named Achal Harjai. She is a counseling psychologist. She's practicing, she's working in this field from last 4 5 years, and she'll be telling us more about the anxiety and in a very simplified way. So I welcome you, Achal, on the platform of Counsel India.
Thank you so much, sir, for introducing me and giving me such a warm welcome. Um, First of all, I would like to express my gratitude and appreciate the efforts of Council India to take this opportunity to take this talk show live and spread awareness about mental health. And I will try to demystify the facts related to anxiety and to express my views and thoughts on this to be able to help out all our audience who are there who joined us to understand what anxiety is all about.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Achal. And one more thing is, there are various people nowadays, various students are studying psychology, and they want to know the lifestyle of a psychologist. They want to know how things are changing in the life of a psychologist. So I would like to know your journey as a psychologist. I mean, how was it? How you'll be expressing your thoughts about your own journey as a psychologist?
Okay. So I think we all know psychology is a field in itself which requires tremendous amount of knowledge and practical skills. So I have, after investing 7 years of my education in psychology, I've been training, I've been working since the past 4 years with different organizations in different domains, trying to experiment with different things where I can put in my efforts to spread awareness about mental health, to talk about this issues that are associated with mental health per se. So I've been working as a trainer in the past with Minister of Health and Family Welfare on a project. I've been working with government and psychiatric hospitals. Currently, I'm glad to be associated with Council India for this particular project. Also, I've been doing a lot of trainings with corporates and schools in particular, since we are in this particular mental health crisis, right, during what we call as this new normal. So I'm trying to put in my efforts,
Mhm.
best of what all I have. So this journey of being a clinical psychologist, being out there for people, to help them understand themselves better, I think that's been a beautiful journey for me.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. This experience gonna help people who are studying there, who are looking to become a psychologist like you. Perfect. So let's talk about anxiety now. So how will you tell our viewers what is anxiety, Achal?
Okay. So, before we come to anxiety, I think it is very important for also to tell all our viewers that this October is a mental health awareness month, right?
Right.
And also yesterday, the fact that the entire world was celebrating Mental Health Day, 10th October is celebrated the Mental Health Day. So, I think first we need to understand what exactly is mental health, right? Before we come
Right.
on to this, so that viewers get an understanding of why are we saying that it is important for you to take care of mental health.
Right.
So I think there have been a lot of things. The moment we say mental health, it has been associated with mental illness, with the stigma, with the institutionalizations, with the word lunatics, lame,
Right.
disability. So all these words come to the mind, and the moment words come to our mind, we take a setback, right? We don't want to talk about mental health, but
Yeah.
the fact we have to understand that. Okay, so demystifying first. So health
Hmm.
is not the absence of disease. Okay, health is your complete state of physical, emotional, and social well-being. And uh, when I say mental health, so we talk about four important things when we are talking about mental health. So it's your ability to realize your full potential, to work
Hmm.
productively, to be able to manage your day-to-day life stressors, and the fourth is to work towards in a community. Right? This is what we are talking about mental health. And
Hmm.
when we say, coming back to our topic, anxiety. So anxiety is an emotion, is a feeling, is a mood state, है ना? And again, feelings are all normal, right? We give these two terms, good and bad feelings, but they're nothing of as sort, like they're no good or they're no bad feelings. Usually we associate ki good feelings kya hai, happiness,
Right.
excitement, that we associate this with good feelings. And
So
what are bad feelings?
you're saying that they are just feelings, they are not good or bad feelings.
Absolutely. What are
Okay.
feelings? It is just your mind's way of telling you that something is not right.
Hmm.
Something needs your attention. And this is only purpose of the feelings. The fact we have feelings is what makes us human, right?
Right.
So you can feel agitated, you can feel low, you can feel anxious. It's totally okay. It's totally normal, right? All of us experience anxiety in some point in our lives. It could be, and it is very normal, right? So this particular anxiety, this is a very protective signal or a protective reaction towards any stressful or a threatful situation,
Or we
any
can say it's a
danger.
survival response many times. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a survival response. And
Okay.
how have we been feeling this anxiety? Is, let's go back to the times when humans were living as nomads, right? We were living in caves, and
Yes.
that was the time when there was a constant threat of a predator out there, and people had to
Right.
constantly look for food, look for place where they
Hmm.
could live, where they could survive, and to uh, probably protect themselves from the danger. It is anxiety is with us since that point of time when we were trying to build this particular survival mode in ourselves. That's when this anxiety came into us. And now it's like as you said, it's like a survival, it's like an alarm reaction in our body.
Right.
And it comes in these three particular stages: fight response, flight response, and a freeze response. Fight, you would actually, if you face any particular danger, you would want to fight that off. Or second is flight, you would want to run away from that particular thing. Or most of us, I think we just freeze, we don't know what to do. So anxiety is a very normal, automatic physical reaction that's been happening into your body, and in response to a particular danger. And when this danger shuts off, this anxiety response also shuts off within your body, and everything goes away.
Okay. Okay. So if anxiety is the survival response, Achal, then why people are suffering? Why they want to get rid of anxiety? Why?
Okay. I think the fact that anxiety comes with a lot of physiological responses that happen in a body. So experience, when you have to appear for the interview tomorrow, right? So you will experience increase in heartbeat, increase in breathing rate. You might experience tremors. There are muscular tension in your body, and we experience a lot of these physical responses in our body. And the fact that these responses are misperceived by an individual, that these particular responses are not protective responses, but these are the responses that our body is saying that we are itself in a danger. Okay, nowadays
Mhm.
we are not in this particular threat, that we have to survive of a predator that's coming by, or we don't have to survive a wild animal, we don't have to constantly look out for a place to live in. No, these days the anxieties are coming much more internal. These threats are
Okay.
much more internal to us.
Right.
What are these threats about, right? It's about health. Recently, because of the COVID scenario, it's mostly about the health, about contracting this particular virus, about the family, about relationships, about
Right.
jobs, right? About these fears, this fear of abandonment, or about these transition and life changes. So these are all particular events in which we feel anxious, right? And this anxiety can work for us and it can work against us, right? We all have in us to how to be probably to able to deal with the anxiety. But the
Right.
fact how we perceive and how we respond to a threat that we are perceiving is what determines an anxiety response.
Or it
Okay,
will be in your favor, or it will work against you. That will
absolutely.
define.
Absolutely. How you are actually perceiving these feelings of arousal in your body
Hmm.
and how you're actually responding to them. So these feelings of arousal happen. So imagine recollect some of the most important days in your life, right? Somebody getting married, getting your first job, appearing for your entrance exam, or clearing your board exams. I think all of us have gone through those sleepless nights before
Right.
that, and all of us have gone through some of the uncomfortable emotions that we've been feeling. But the fact
Right.
that we're happy, these emotions actually derive us, right? They motivate us to perform better and to be able to reach towards our goals.
Right.
So anxiety is nothing. It's just our apprehension or a sense of worry towards something, um, um, to a situation. It is usually internal these days because of these threats that we are perceiving.
Oh, it means if we know how to respond better in the situation, so anxiety will work in our favor, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's how anxiety for one person. Suppose I might feel anxiety in terms of going to the stage and giving my performance, but for somebody else, it is okay. They are okay in terms of going on to the stage out there, performing their part and coming back. So what differs is how I am perceiving that particular situation and how I am coping with this particular situation, how I am
Right.
controlling. Both the persons will experience some form of anxiety in them. They will feel anxious before going out there, right? Both of us were anxious before starting this talk show today. All of us are,
Yeah.
right? But the fact that we're able to cope with this is what sets us apart.
Okay. Okay. So, Anchal, do this anxiety has the different forms or the types of anxiety?
Absolutely. So when we talk about anxiety, there are different forms of anxiety. So we also first have to understand that anxiety is normal, but what is different is an anxiety disorder.
Okay.
Okay. So if I can say that, talking about if I can say that about what anxiety disorders are, right? So as I said,
Right.
anxiety is normal. Not all anxieties are what we call as a disorder, right? We actually we tend to live in a society where we all our emotions and our feelings are over pathologized, है ना? You are experiencing something तो उसको तो डिप्रेशन है, वो थोड़ा सा लो है, नहीं नहीं,
Right.
वो तो ड्रामा ही करता है ना?
Hmm.
उसको तो अटेंशन सीख करने की आदत है, इसलिए वो ऐसा कर रहा है,
जजमेंट
right?
बहुत
So
ज्यादा
these are
पास करते हैं.
absolutely right. So these are some of the over pathologizing terms for our human emotions. The fact that he can feel low, the fact that he can feel agitated or irritated about a day, the fact that you can feel anxious, right, about your health, about the health of your loved ones, it's totally fine. But how do we understand that how anxiety is different from an anxiety disorder is when we are
Disorder. Okay.
experiencing this. Yes. So when we are experiencing this in more frequently, consistently, anxiety is this intense, ongoing feelings that we've been feeling, and this is actually causing a disruption in your daily life routines. So it is actually disturbing you to an extent that it is causing significant distress and disruption in your day-to-day activities. It is interfering with your work life, with your
Hmm.
social life, with your personal life. So that is when we call it as an anxiety disorder.
So when it becomes a cycle, a repetitive pattern of that we are being anxious, particularly by something, by a particular thing on daily basis, right? So it's a cycle, and then we call it, oh, now this is anxiety disorder.
Absolutely, because we are actually in a loop, right? We are actually in a loop that we are into any particular situation, and then we are perceiving that particular situation in some form, and then we feel emotions, and that's how we react to it. That's how our behavioral responses come towards it. Suppose I feel anxious about going onto a stage and speaking something. So what the fact I am into in this anxiety loop is, the moment I know that I have to speak something out there, I will kind of avoid that particular situation. है ना, करना ही नहीं है,
Right.
जाना
Hmm.
ही नहीं है. So this forms an anxiety loop,
Right.
right?
When we
And
stop doing a daily routine thing, then it is harming us. Then we need to think about it. Then we need to approach to someone. We need to look for the solution.
absolutely. So, coming to what are the types of anxiety or
Yeah.
anxiety disorders, is we have different types. Like when I say generalized anxiety, it's usually the anxiety in we experience in day-to-day lives. I think we have a lot of reports, and we have a lot of statistics saying that women are more prone to generalize anxiety about day-to-day functioning, about a wide range of aspects when a person feel anxious about, or what we've so commonly heard of phobias, right? We so commonly say is that we have a phobia of elevators, we have phobia of heights, lizards, animals, situation, claustrophobic. So phobia is also again a one type of anxiety disorder. OCD. I think pandemic has also actually aggravated the OCD in all of us, right? The fact, so OCD is this particular disorder in which we have a lot of intrusive thoughts related to contamination, related to cleanliness, related to checking, and then we have obsessions. We want to do that act again and again. So this is a type of anxiety disorder. But when I say OCD and when I say how we have been in the current scenario, I think I like to point out this difference.
Okay.
This anxiety in us, the anxiety about the cleanliness. All of
Mm.
us, when we are going out, we are wearing masks. We make sure we are carrying the sanitizers, right? The
Right.
moment we touch any surface, we make sure we are sanitizing the surface. So this is
Right.
not OCD. This is anxiety, right? We are anxious about catching a virus, so we're taking all the protective measures to deal with it. So in this particular way, your anxiety is actually the survival response, as you said. It is actually
Yeah.
helping you to survive this particular pandemic. But the fact that your thoughts are becoming so persistent about cleanliness, it is actually affecting. Nothing seems okay to you apart from checking on cleanliness, on things being in a particular order. Is that when we say that OCD has stepped in and we are repeatedly performing those acts? So OCD is one of the things. Then PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorders, trauma associated to any particular incident in the past, which now affects you. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be a family, losing a family member, like, or it could be losing a job, or child abuse, or any kind of abuse within a person. This particular trauma sets a lot of anxiety in a person in the form of flashbacks, in the form of nightmares, in form of increased heart rates. So PTSD is a form of anxiety disorder. Panics. I think we've heard a lot about panic
Yeah.
attacks. So
Panic attack.
panic is also a form of an anxiety disorder that we experience.
Right. So there are various forms of anxiety. When it becomes a disorder, so there are different names like OCD, or phobia, or panic attacks. So there are different forms of anxiety disorders, right? General anxiety disorder.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Okay, it says that out of 100, 5 people are suffering from anxiety, general anxiety disorder nowadays.
absolutely,
It is happening.
absolutely.
Okay. So, and one more thing is that people generally talk about stress, about anxiety, about depression. So, how this anxiety is different from stress?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, great question. I think, yeah. So when we talk about stress, they're usually two interchangeable terms, right? We experience stress and we experience anxiety. So we have to understand what is stress. Stress is our physical reaction towards anything external situation which we find difficult to cope with. Okay, that is our reaction. We know that we feel stressed about any one particular external event that's been happening out there, and we are finding difficult to cope with that particular stressful situation. You can have stress about the deadlines that you have to meet because you have to submit the work, or probably you're stressed about what job to take on to next. Anxiety is something that happens when you've been dealing with a lot of worry and stress in general, which leads to an anxiety. And anxiety is more of an internal response. When I say stress is in response to an external situation, anxiety is a response that comes in from the internal threats which are perceived by an individual. And anxiety
Okay.
usually steps in because of this prolonged dealing with the worry thoughts. What if that things don't work out? When there's a lot of apprehension or uncertainty about the future, I might stress about giving the work by or submitting my assignments by 7 p.m. today, right? That is a stressful response. But an anxiety is when I am actually worrying about um, what will happen if I'm not able to submit my response, right? What if I will be laid off from my job? What if my other co-workers work much better than how I am to deal with it? So anxiety is more
Okay.
of an internal worry towards perceiving a threat. To give you a very small example, let's say
Yeah.
stress can be, suppose, when you are actually facing you have a fear of dogs and you're actually facing those dogs, okay, and you're stressed about being in that particular situation. But anxiety is you're sitting here and you're thinking ki, what if tomorrow I will go for my work and there will be a dog out there? How will be I able to deal with it? What if the dog bites me? What if I'm not able to control myself? So this is anxiety and uncertainty, which is more of internal.
So exaggerated thought of negative, having the negative response in the future
Absolutely, absolutely,
is
absolutely.
anxiety. Okay. I would also like to ask you, there's a pandemic out there, right? There's a coronavirus situation, and we are continuously, using sanitizer and the mask. So in this situation, I mean, how you will differentiate? Are we getting anxious, as you are saying? Are we also getting stressed about it? Because
Um,
situation is outside, right?
Mm. So I think this completely varies from person to person, right? We all, since we have been in the 6 to 8 months of being in the lockdown stage, and things are opening up, the regulations are easing out, and we are actually all going out there. The very fact that we feel anxious about, I think it's more stress is again more of how a person perceives, but we are feeling anxious about going out there, right? Because we are anxious that we might not contract the virus, we might not harm the family members at our home, and our family members might not get affected. So this is stepping in this particular anxiety when you're going out. So whenever the moment you're going out, you make sure everything is followed, or you're following all the protective measures. So this is an anxiety, which is an healthy anxiety. But if you have an anxiety to an extreme end that you're finding it difficult to even step out of your home, to even kind of do anything, you know that you have to see a doctor for any particular thing, or there's an utmost important thing that you have to do, and you've not been able to, you're delaying that work in particular because you've not been able to actually control your anxiety, or there's an extreme form of anxiety that's been associated in terms of going out. So as I said, again, it depends upon if there's an extreme, it is actually affecting you in terms of doing what is important to you. So I think that's when we need to actually work through towards educating people about what COVID situation is, what are the most protective measures that you can deal with it. But just the fact that you're going out there, you're using all the sanitization procedures, I think that's your anxiety is actually protecting you from contracting the virus. So that's
Okay.
a very
Okay.
good and healthy anxiety.
Okay. Okay. Great. So now, what are the various ways to deal with the anxiety? If there's a person outside, he's not having the anxiety disorder right now, but it is also true. When on initial level, we are not able to handle the anxiety, we do not know the various ways to deal with this anxiety. So it becomes anxiety disorder later. So when it is anxiety there, so how to deal with that? What are the various ways to deal with the anxiety?
Okay. So I think first it is very important for us to identify. that
Right.
what are your initial levels of anxiety, right? So you have to identify. I'll discuss with you some of the red flag signs that all of us should be aware about for your own selves, for people around you, so that you can actually, when we're talking about spreading awareness about mental health, you can actually work as in terms of providing that for everybody around you. So these are some red flag signs that we need to see off when we're talking about anxiety. Okay, that when it is the initial level and when you should actually start working on in terms of controlling your anxiety. So I'll discuss in these four domains. So first is
Okay.
when you've been experiencing at the thought level. Okay, anxiety has been experiencing on in our
Okay.
cognitions, in our thinking, in the form of excessive worrying
Okay.
about any one thing in particular, right? Or you are finding
Okay.
difficult to
Hmm.
probably focus or concentrate on one task because you've been so tied up with one set of thoughts that you've been thinking about. Or if you are facing difficulty in terms of decision making or problem solving in your day to day lives, you're not able to make those decisions because your thinking is affected, right? Second is your emotional responses. What is that you're feeling? What is your mood? When we ask, how are you feeling? All of us
Hmm.
say that I'm fine, I'm good, right?
Right.
But now is the time we actually start giving our emotions the vocabulary. It can actually come in the form of when we say red flag signs in anxiety. So we experience irritation, anxiousness, agitation, low moods, frustration. Okay, so these are some of the signs. If you're experiencing in some person these particular signs, you need to understand that these are the red flag signs of anxiety. In terms of physical responses, if you're finding that a person has been experiencing a lot of increased heartbeat, tremors have been experiencing, inability to relax, right? They experience nausea, they experience chokiness, breathlessness. These are some of the physical responses towards that
Right.
your anxiety needs some kind of attention of yours. And then there are behavioral responses. I think these are the first things that all of us see in an individual.
Right.
Changes in sleep patterns, changes in appetite pattern, withdrawing from others, not doing activities of your interest. So these are some of the red flag signs that if you start observing this in a particular person, I think these are the initial levels that the anxiety needs some kind of attention, right?
Right.
It needs your attention.
So that's how we can identify the anxiety on thought level, on emotional level, physical level, and in the behavior pattern as well.
Absolutely. And then the fact that you identify is you can always try to, right? When it's all about awareness. You're aware that you're being affected by this particular thing. We start doing self-help things like, as I said, we need to start giving um, our emotions the vocabulary that we need.
Right.
If I'm feeling sad, it's okay to say that I'm feeling sad. I don't have to mask it up by saying कि नहीं नहीं मैं तो ठीक हूँ ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. No,
Hmm.
it's okay if you start giving these things. Then information diet. I think this is very important. When this entire COVID situation happened, I think a lot of us was experiencing an extreme form of anxiety. Why? All out there on every news channel you step in was always about number of cases that's been rising, the
Right.
deaths that have been reported, the
Hmm.
fact that we don't have vaccines yet, the fact that there have been a lack of beds, and so we have to also understand what type of information are you consuming from your immediate environment. The fact that every time you're living in this particular threat or danger around you, that this is a COVID situation. So probably you should also see what type of information you're consuming, and then you need to cut from that particular information that you have. Talk to people around you. I think COVID has actually given us to live towards a new state, has given us an entirely new picture of how we live. Social
Right.
distancing, physical distancing, how it is impacting us, right? We're not able to see our loved ones, and this fact is also keeping us a lot anxious. But yes, we have been physically distant in this particular situation, but I think all of us have been socially connected,
Right.
right? We have switched to digital platforms, we've switched to webinars, we have switched to all the online modes that we can help in terms of finding.
Digitally,
Um,
we are more active and more connected with each
Absolutely,
other.
absolutely. And that is what is important. Seek support from the peers, from people, from your loved ones, from there who are out there. stick to your routines. I think predictability is one of the most important things in our lives. The
Hmm.
fact that you have a predictability of your day, you have you have a predictability of how your day would look by tomorrow, helps you to kind of structure, helps you to kind of feel ease at it. So stick to your daily routines, even if you're working from home. For children also, for that matter, a lot of kids we have seen there been increase in cases of agitation, frustration, anger. Why? Because they don't have a predictability, they don't have a schedule, rigid routine is not being followed, right? So if even if you're working from home, try to find that balance in your lives in terms of what is your work window, what is your window where you need to disconnect, how much
Right.
time you're working, how much time you're actually putting in the daily chores, self care, how much time actually you're putting in terms of taking care of yourself. Now this is also, self care is also one of the things that we perceive as something selfish, right? To probably just sit, do nothing, and just sit yourself and read your favorite book, or just to probably relax. I think most of us also start feeling guilt about it. The fact that
Yeah.
we're just
Right.
sitting and doing nothing about it. But it is
Yeah.
very important for you to disconnect, right?
Hmm.
And we're disconnecting to connect. So you
Right.
have to take that time out for you, whether it is in the form of relaxation, whether it is in the form of reading, music. There've been such a tremendous scientific research of how music helps to actually uplift these dopamine levels in our brain. So
Right.
stick whatever you find comfortable, whatever kinds of give you that feeling of relaxation, right? Because as I said, anxiety is this arousal mechanism that happens in your body. So the moment you're able to relax your body, the anxiety will go down. That automatically, that mechanism that has been switched on because of the threat which is out there, it will switch off once you're able to relax yourself. So build on to what your idea of relaxation is. Is it exercising, yoga, diet,
Hmm.
anything of that sort?
Okay, perfect. So you are saying first thing is that name your emotions. Now you just do not need to say I'm fine. You can name your
Yes,
emotion, right? That will help you. And you are also saying that information consuming. You need to take care. You need to be aware what kind of information you are consuming, because the similar thoughts you're gonna have after some time. You're also saying that stick to the routine that you are, that is the ideal routine of you. Try to stick to that and connect with people. If we'll be connecting people, we'll be able to share our emotions with them. We'll be able to channelize our energy, right? And give some time means disconnect. And disconnection doesn't mean that you are being unproductive, but it's mean
yes,
you're refreshing yourself to get connect once again. Like we refresh the computer, right?
absolutely.
Okay, okay, perfect. So now I just want to know that Achal, how to identify. I mean, now these questions are from especially from the psychology students, right? They're asking that how to differentiate, like a person need medication and the problem can be solved by the therapy or the counseling.
Okay. Okay, I think this is a very valid question all of us have out there, right?
Right.
What to seek, whether should we go for a psychiatric medications, should we pop some pills, or should we go to therapy? So we have to first understand, okay, that both of these are a mode of treatment to help to ease the anxiety symptoms that you've been experiencing. Okay, but the fact that what mode has to be chosen depends upon the symptoms that you've been experiencing, the severity of the symptoms, the fact what you respond to in a better, and that's how we decide that what particular mode do we have to choose for a client. I'll give you an example. Suppose
Mm-hmm.
you have fractured your arm, okay, and now so what will you do? Now the fact that you fractured your arm, your bone is break, you'll go out to a doctor, you'll get a cast on, you'll take the painkillers because you've been experiencing a lot of pain. Then you will take the medications for that, so that the muscles that have been there, the new muscles are built, right? You will take a proper rest. You
Right.
don't want कि अब कास्ट लग गया है तो अब जो
Hmm.
मर्जी कर सकते हैं. You want to do all these things. So similarly, that is how a treatment for any psychiatric disorder or an anxiety disorder per se requires. you have to have that. It totally depends upon what type of symptoms and what severity of symptoms you've been experiencing. We usually diagnose anxiety disorders if they have been persisting over a period of 6 months. Okay, the anxiety is taking different forms and you've been experiencing these disorders. Now, the fact that where are you at currently, how it is affecting your daily lives. So when we say medicines, in nowadays, we are in this third generation of medicines. We have mood stabilizers if you've been feeling emotionally low, if you've been feeling
Right.
agitated. So we have mood stabilizers to help you out in this. Then we have antidepressants, or what we call as selective serotonin uptake. So I'll not go very scientific and in all these things, but in a very general terms, in terms of chemicals, when we say
Right.
that there's this imbalance of chemicals in your brain, so there's dopamine, there's serotonin, these are different chemicals. So जब इसका imbalance हो जाता है, so we
Hmm.
require now, since your body is not being able to produce that particular chemical,
Right.
so you have to take those particular medications. So we do a lot of assessments. We have psychometric assessments to go about it. We do the assessment, we do a clinical observation, and then we
Right.
see ki, for what particular thing, whether we need to give that a mood stabilizer, we need to give these chemical reuptake. So medications helps you in that case. Therapy in particular, it helps you in terms of identifying the root cause. It helps you to identify and develop self-awareness of your problems. Medicines cannot do that. You start popping a pill, and it doesn't mean that you will become so much aware that this particular thing has been causing you an anxiety. That the fear, probably, let's say a person has been experiencing a lot of anxiety after their breakup, right? We give them the medications, of course, because they're experiencing an extreme form of anxiety. But how will therapy help? The medicines will not tell you. The therapy will tell you that you've been fearing, you've developed this fear of abandonment, you have developed this fear of rejection, you have this particular set of attachment style, and that is why it is becoming difficult for you to cope with this particular situation. So therapy helps to bring a lot of self awareness. So both of these goes hand in hand, depending upon the purely on person to person, on the symptoms that they've been presenting and what they're comfortable with. At times, a lot of people come to us because they've been associated these myths, associated with the medications also, right? The psychiatric medicines are addictive. They kind
Right.
of decrease your concentration. They kind of change your personality patterns. But we have advanced from this, okay, and they're not willing to do that. So we
Right.
start with therapy with them, right? We start therapy, and then we see on how changes are doing, how the person is improving. And then when we feel that we require kind of a collaborative approach to take in the medications, and then we psychoeducate the client,
Right.
right? We psychoeducate them what is the need, what else that they have to do. Apart from doing this, I think we have a supportive therapies as well, in terms of practicing daily relaxation, in terms of practicing daily meditation. So that is also kind of supportive therapy that we use. So all of this goes hand in hand depending upon a person to person.
Right. Or we can also identify, like, if a person is not in the condition to listen to you, so definitely a person needs some support, medical support. So it is not
Absolutely,
necessary
absolutely,
that at that time your counseling, your therapy will work. First of all, person should be in that
absolutely,
condition, the situation that
absolutely.
he or she can actually listen to you.
Yes, of course. So this
Okay,
usually
perfect.
happens with lot of clients, right? Because they've been going through extreme situations. As you said, they are not at ease. Their body is constantly telling them they have low on energy. They're not able to
Right.
probably draw that energy, and you need to give them some chemicals because their body is certainly not producing them, right? So you
Right.
have to give them so that they start producing it. I think it's same like immunity boosters, right? We've been all this time we've been working on our immunity. We've been taking all these ayurvedic medications and homeopathic and allopathic in terms of building our immunity,
Right.
because we know that
Mm-hmm.
अभी वो viral attack हो चुका है and our body खुद से नहीं produce करी, so it's better you give that pill. Similarly
Right.
happens in terms of anxiety disorder. Your body is
Mm.
not producing that particular chemical for now. You have to give it from outside, right? And it also comes in the form of diet. We give a lot of omega 3 fatty Omega 3 is also fatty acids to people who've been experiencing a lot of anxiety disorders, because वो भी chemicals से बहुत linked होता है. So they come in the form of fish oils, it comes in the form of diet, walnuts, what we incorporate in diet. So all in all, it actually, since your body is not able to produce that, we give that
Right.
so that you function properly.
Yeah, but the thing is that on initial level, counseling and a therapy works in a great manner, right?
Yes.
So, what kind of therapies or the counseling approaches a psychologist generally use for the anxiety disorders?
So see, there are varied schools that we've been using. We have all these third generation of even psychotherapies that we're using. So when I say therapy, I think we need to demystify this fact also. When I
Sure.
say counseling and when I say therapy, what we say is that's a talk therapy. है ना?
Yeah,
But therapies, psychotherapies, counseling is just not a talk therapy, right? We're just not talking. These are systematic, scientific, evidence-based approaches that we are using with them. It has a lot of research based. It's not
exactly.
like talking to a therapist is not like going to your neighbor or going to your friend and telling them that these are your problems and they can help you out. It's
Right.
completely different from it. You have a heart stroke, you are experiencing diabetes, you will not go to your neighbors and ask them कि बताओ मैं क्या करूं मेरे को दवाई दो. नहीं, you will go out to a doctor, you will
Right.
go to a physician to get that treated. Similarly, for therapies, you have to go to a registered practitioner, a mental health professional who has this experience of handling this particular thing. So it's
Right.
just not about talk therapy, right? So when we say therapies and counseling techniques, we have a lot of counseling techniques that have come with a lot of research and school of psychology that we've been dealing with, like cognitive behavior therapy. So as we say, our cognitions, our emotions, and our behaviors all are interlinked. Now, I'll give you an example. Suppose you've been feeling you have this particular thought in your mind that this situation happened with you, that you were applying for a new job and you did not get selected. Okay.
Hmm.
Now,
Okay.
this is a situation that's been happening, that you've been rejected by the job that you were applying for. Now, this is a neutral situation. It can happen to anybody out there, right? Now, what is the thought that I'm taking when I am in this particular situation? I'm useless. The fact that I'm rejected means I'm useless. I'm not worth getting a new job. I will be like this all my life. These are the thoughts that come to your mind because there was a situation. What do you start? The moment you have these thoughts that I'm useless, I will not be able to get the job, I will survive like this, I will not be able to support my family, is when you will start experiencing your feelings will come, right? What feelings will come is you'll start feeling sad, you'll start feeling withdrawn, you'll start feeling agitated. So different type of emotions depending on a person's reactive styles. And then your behavior step in, that probably you will not want to apply for a job next day because you got rejected in this particular job, and you have kind of formed this for yourself that you are a failure, right? And you will not apply for jobs, you'll start talking to people, you're withdrawing from people, you have a low on energy, and this kind of becomes a cycle for you. So what do we need to do? So with cognitive behavior therapies, we try to break this change. We try to first help you understand what you've been experiencing, right? Emotions. At times आप किसी से पूछो आप कैसे हो, उनको पता भी नहीं होता वो कैसे हैं, right? वो से कि हमें
Right.
बहुत गुस्सा आता है. So
Hmm.
गुस्सा is the most general thing that all of us experience, कि गुस्सा आ जाता है ना? So
Right.
anger is actually an umbrella emotion.
Hmm.
Underneath that, there are a lot of emotions like pain, hurt, guilt, regret, disappointment. So we actually help them understand. So through therapy, we help them understand these particular emotions. Actually, क्या emotion experience हो रहा है? Then we try to break these chains in terms of behavior activation, because they've not been talking to people, they've been withdrawing. Just because they failed in one
Right.
particular thing, they're just sitting back there and they think that probably they're not worth a job. So we need to work in terms of activating their behavioral patterns, right? Motivating them. And the fact that this entire thing come into the picture was because you had a thought that you are useless, right? You are not capable enough to deserve a job. So
Right.
this is a cycle where, as a psychotherapy, we work on improving the cognitions, the emotions, and the behaviors, and at the same time working with the physical manifestations. I think most of us, our audience will agree out there, the moment you start feeling anxiety or even stress for that matter, all of us have related stress, physical responses also associated with it. It could be headaches, it could be
Right.
nauseatics, right? It could be acidity, it could be pain in the chest, it could be constipation, it could be diarrhea, it could be acne at times for people. So, right, so what happens is this is associated because of your responses that have been set in your body. So, we need to bring all those responses, and this is what we do through psychotherapy. So there's
Right.
CBT, there are behavioral techniques in order to help a person
Right.
deal with the anxiety. Assertiveness training. A lot of us experience anxiety. I think four out of every 10 people experience anxiety at their workplaces. And what is
Right.
this anxiety about is probably not being able to say no to your work, probably not being able to or just probably judge yourself about the number of hours you're putting in. So you are also putting the extra hours, probably you just because you're not able to say no, probably you're not able to manage your work. So what requires at this point of time is we need to help you in terms of assertiveness training. We need
Right.
to help you understand your overall mechanism, your overall personality traits. So working on improving your resilience, your coping skills. A lot of us when are stressed we resort to addictive behaviors like smoking, alcohol consumptions. So what do we have to understand? So we have to work towards reducing these coping mechanisms, right? And so we have to teach a
Right.
new coping
Hmm.
mechanism to an individual. Then we have to teach relaxation. Most of us when we are anxious about, we disconnect, or we're always thinking about the future कि 2 साल बाद जाके अभी जो जॉब कर रही हूँ उसमें से कितना मिलेगा, whether I am productive or not productive. So I'm constantly
Right.
thinking about the future. So with therapies, we use these mindfulness based approaches. We tell you to come out in present. Think of what you can do it in the present. Okay, so we use here and now principles to deal with this particular thing. We use a lot of scientific questioning, questioning your beliefs patterns that you've been set that you have set for
Right.
yourself. So a lot of
Right.
all the therapies include all these approaches. So these are the different forms of therapies that we've been dealing with.
Okay. Perfect. So first great thing you are telling is talking to a psychologist or the counselor is not just the talk. It's a systematic scientific process to solve the problem because they have studied about it. They know how to go about the particular problem which is related to your thoughts, your emotions. So we cannot say that you're just going and talking to someone. Now we are using particular scientific therapies to solve the problems.
Absolutely. And the
Perfect.
fact that
So
you
yeah,
have somebody out there, right? You talk to your friends, तो या you talk to your relatives, they say नहीं नहीं कोई बात नहीं, ऐसा तो नहीं होता है, सबके साथ ऐसा होता है, तो तुम कुछ अलग नहीं हो, है ना? तुम बैठ
right.
जाओ, हम 50 साल के हो गए हैं, हमें तो इतना कुछ नहीं हुआ है, तुम अभी 30 साल के ही हो, तुम्हें इतनी क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं,
इसमें
स्टफ
क्या
लाइक दैट,
problem? Right.
राइट? है ना? सो क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? योर फीलिंग्स आर इनवैलिडेटेड, एंड व्हाट डू यू स्टार्ट डूइंग? यू अगेन कम इनटू दिस लूप कि हम गलत हैं, जो
Hmm.
हम कर रहे हैं, जो हमारी फीलिंग्स हैं वो गलत है, या मुझे 50 साल के बाद जब होऊंगा तभी एंग्जाइटी हो सकती है, या व्हेन
Right.
आई एम बिकमिंग अ न्यू पेरेंट तभी एंग्जाइटी हो सकती है. बट द फैक्ट दीज डेज
Hmm.
even a 10-year-old child is coming to us and telling ki this is what is affecting them, right? Because
Hmm.
they've been media, we've been so socially connected, everything is out there. So the fact that the psychologists offer you a non-judgmental listening ears, they validate your feelings, they understand that what you've been feeling is purely yours. It
Right.
doesn't matter if your family member is experiencing that or not. It doesn't matter if 10 people at your work is not stressed by that particular thing, but the fact you are stressed with this particular thing makes it a problem, right? And we have
Right.
to find a solution towards it.
Right. Right. Perfect. So that's how this is the difference between a counselor, a psychologist, or the talking to a normal person, right? Perfect. So one more question is that I mean this question was asked any any person. The person was saying, is it like the psychologists are serious all the time? So what do you say about it?
No, I think absolutely not. They're not serious. I think the fact that they're very open to people, they're very accepting towards people because we've understood, right? We've been dealing with so many people, we interact with different people, and all of us come from different set of experiences, beliefs of how we have been raised, cultures, languages. So we are very accepting to people, and the fact that we maintain a calm look doesn't mean that we are always very rigid or we are
Right.
very always strict or rude. No, it's not.
So you were saying,
We always try to maintain that therapeutic relationship. You have to understand, we as a therapist cannot be your friends. We have a patient and a therapist relationship. So that can be at ease. That cannot be a friendly relationship, but that can be a comfortable relationship where you
right,
feel comfortable to discuss anything that's been affecting you, and it's okay.
right,
I think all of us, we also kind of share our journeys, our issues with the client. That kind of helps them give motivation
right.
to deal with things I've been dealing. So I think we are
We,
not.
yeah, it is not like we are serious always.
No, we are not. I am, at
we,
least I am. Yeah.
yeah, we laugh, we talk, and we do all the things people are
Yes.
doing. Perfect. So, Atal, first of all, thank you so much. You have shared, clarified the various things about anxiety, the solution approaches, and anxiety is totally demystified today. Now, what any message you would like to give to the viewers?
I think the fact that all of us have survived this pandemic as well, and all of us have come so far. Value this thing within yourselves. Don't try to kind of always find productivity in your life, right? There's nothing of that as productivity or perfectionism.
Hmm.
What you do, try to be the best version of that you are. Every day doesn't have to be a productive day. You have to give yourself the kudos, the fact that you've survived all these months, right? You've been able to, most of us have lost our jobs, most of us been trying to do different things. The fact that you are there, out there, and you're looking out towards future, you're maintaining a positive mental outlook, right? You are believing in yourself. That is, just hold on to that thing. Don't determine your worth by the amount of salary that you're making, or the amount of job that you've been working with, or the kind of relationships that you have. Choose what you can, right? And give yourself for the fact that you've come out so far, and the journey ahead will be as beautiful as you make out of it. So
Perfect, perfect.
I think that's it from my end in terms of giving all the strength and all the positivity to people out there. Be positive and spread positivity around people. I think that's what we need at this point of time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this beautiful message to the people, to the viewers. Now I have a quick rapid fire questions. So you do not need to think much about it.
Okay.
Whatever is instant, you can share that.
Okay.
Okay.
Superb.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm all
the
ready.
first question is, what is the first thing you notice in a person?
I actually noticed the feet, the shoes.
Shoes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. One thing that scared you off.
Scared you of?
Mhm.
I think heights, lizards,
Okay.
insects, and if I can say that, I was really fearful of the fact of being rejected. When I
Hmm.
started my career as
Hmm.
a mental health professional myself, the fact that I had to apply to so many places, I
Hmm.
used to always apply to my comfortable places now, where I used to know कि हाँ यहाँ पर तो हो ही जाएगा या इतना तो
Hmm.
आता ही है. So I used to do
Right.
that because I knew कि यहाँ पे fear of failure बहुत कम है. So I think this is something that I was scared of, and now actually I've tried to overcome this fear. I'm trying to overcome this fear of failure within me. Because when you have this fear, you kind of become so restricted to your comfort zone, and you restrict your experiences. So the fact that I'm actually doing out everything, I had so much of anxiety last night because this is the first time that I'm doing a talk show. Like, I've
Mhm.
been doing webinars and everything, but this is the first
Yeah.
time that I was doing a talk show with you all. So, but I think I was scared, but I'm glad that I did it. That's how I overcame it.
Great, great. So my next question is, when you listen कि psychologist तो आधे पागल होते हैं, what comes into your mind immediately?
I think a lot of comes in from the lack of knowledge because we are
Hmm.
always trying to understand the people. We're not trying to judge you. We're not trying to tell you कि नहीं नहीं ये गलत है. It's the fact
Hmm.
that we're very accepting towards everybody. है ना? So even if somebody comes to me and something that they're doing, they feel guilty about it. The fact we don't let them feel guilty about that. So I think that's what being misperceived as कि वो तो पागल
Hmm.
ही होते हैं या उनको तो सब चीजों में ऐसे ही समझाना होता है. So no, I think
The
we are very
lack
accepting.
of knowledge or the
Lack
lack
of
of
knowledge.
awareness, you can say.
Absolutely. And I think also this thing, a lot of
Hmm.
this thing is also associated कि आप psychologist हो तो आप मेरा चेहरा पढ़ के बताओ कि मैं
Yeah.
कैसा हूँ.
Yes.
है ना? So no, we're not doing that. We are not face readers.
We're not
We
face
don't
readers.
do that. है ना? If you're sitting like this, हम ऐसे नहीं बोलेंगे कि आप ऐसे हो या वैसे हो या आप ऐसे बात कर
Huh.
रहे हो. We will not judge you by that.
People
We
think we judge them more. Even we do not judge. We're doing the opposite
absolutely,
job.
absolutely. We are when we are sitting in the seat, we take this thing that we're sitting in a non-judgmental position. We just try to understand what you're feeling, and we actually kind of reflect. We act as a mirror. Okay, we are trying to reflect what
Right.
you've been feeling.
Absolutely.
So no, we don't do
Absolutely.
that.
Okay, perfect. So next question is, if you need to give a title to a book on your life, what it would be?
I think that I usually talk about it a lot. It would be within you. So I think
Yeah.
everything that you're trying to achieve out there, everything you've been trying to look out for answers are everything is that resides in you. What you
Hmm.
just need to do is to open your eyes and to develop that insight. Look within yourself what you are lacking about. There's nothing in the world that you cannot do. Just be the best version of yourself. You don't have to compare yourself, your journey with what somebody else is doing out there. You have to
Within you.
compare your journey. Yes. So that has to be within you.
Okay. One habit of psychologists that you do not like.
I think they are very emotional and they get really sensitive about things, about the issues. So I think this is we as a psychologist, since we've been actively working with clients and we are we feel really connected to our clients because we've been helping them to release the distress. So I think all of the psychologists need to work more on their mental health. So that is what is important. So stop being that sensitive and emotional people out there. You also have to disconnect. You also have to understand that you have to actually strike off a balance between things that you've been doing.
Right. So, what are these three things that you do to keep your mental health safe or healthy?
I think I try to take that me time for me. I think that is very important. The fact that I have had sessions lined up and I've been taking a lot of things. After that, a minimum of 40-minute break, I need to just relax and do nothing about it.
Okay.
Then I think for me, relaxation comes in the form of walk or listening to music. So this is very important thing for me. If I'm having a bad day, I would
Hmm.
just switch on a favorite music and I would just sit down and do it. And I think the third, if I can say that, I would want to sit with a cup of coffee
Hmm.
and probably read something. Even if I'm reading something about my clients' cases, even if I'm doing something, I'm reading a book only on psychology because I'm so ingrained about this particular thing. I do a lot of research on this. I will just sit with myself and sit with that cup of coffee helps me to kind of de-stress.
Okay. You spend time with yourself. You give time to yourself. You
Absolutely.
give
That is
break to
very nice.
yourself.
Yes.
That is awesome. So, what special thing you did on Mental Health Day?
So yesterday I tried to actually spread this awareness by making the post out there for helping people to understand what mental health is. What are the signs, as we discussed today about the red flag signs? What are the initial signs that probably you can see out there in
Hmm.
terms of doing there and probably reaching out to there to people? I think that is what is important. The
Right.
fact that we are here, we are actually acting as the mental health frontliners, so to be able to reach out to people just to give a listening ear to anybody is a fact that I think all of us, I did from my part, and I think all of us can do that. Just give that
Right.
listening ear. Just be observant of people around you.
Right. Perfect. Sounds good. So, one thing that you still want to learn in psychology.
Okay, so I think I am always trying to learn new skills, different form of therapy techniques. So I have been building a lot of this in terms of working on more domains, different type of therapies that have been coming up. As I say, the research happens, and then we have different set of models that keep coming up. So kind of keeping myself equipped with the new research information that's been coming in, probably to put my views out there in a form of, as you said, I think to compile some kind of book for myself or something of that sort to give out to people is something that I'm still looking for. And learning about new techniques, new therapies is what I'm doing every day.
Not any particular thing you would name. I'm I wanna learn this thing.
Recently, I've been inclined towards neuro-linguistic programming. So I've been trying to
Programming. Okay.
understand what, yes. So NLP, I'm trying to understand what that school of thought is. Um, so I think the more I can gather the information, I'll be better be able to tell you about it. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. Perfect. So last question is one biasness you would like to remove from the world.
That mental health is same as mental illness. It is not. Mental health is just as important as taking care of your body. It's just like physically taking care of yourself, the same way it is about taking care of your mind. Decluttering your thoughts, taking that time out, expressing yourself. It is not something that you should not do it. It is not something that you are at fault. So probably making it out there for people to understand that your health is your emotional well-being. Apart from just being not having a diabetes is doesn't mean that you're healthy, right? You will still have to eat a healthy diet. You'll still have to exercise daily. And
Right.
similarly, the fact that you don't have a mental illness doesn't mean that you are mentally healthy, right? The fact that you're able to thrive is what makes you mentally healthy. So I am
So
trying
the
to do my bit.
so the rumors related to the mental health or the misconceptions related to the mental health,
Absolutely.
you would like to remove that from the world.
Absolutely. I think it's a
Perfect,
long
Anshul. Thank you
journey.
so much. You've been yeah, perfect. So thank you so much, Anshul. It was really pleasure to talk with you on anxiety, on mental health. Really, thank you so much, and keep spreading the word. Keep helping people out for their emotional and mental well-being. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for having me here, for giving me this initiative. I think the pleasure is all mine. So thank you. I think I'd like to all the viewers who are watching us out there. I hope both of us, with our intentions and with this initiative, we are able to bring the cause out there for you. And to kind of, I think change is something that we just need to start off from something, right? So both of us were trying to bring that change in you. And we hope that
Exactly.
this intention reaches to all the viewers out there. So kudos to the entire team of Council India for doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Superb
This
job to
smile
you
is
guys.
for you, Anchal. Thank you.
Oh,
Bye
thank
bye.
you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. So now, viewers, I would like to tell you something. Um, so we are continuing this mental health talks every Sunday, 12 o'clock. We'll be live with a new expert. Like for the next Sunday at 12 o'clock, we are having a psychiatrist for this mental health talk, where you will be getting different ideas, different ways to be mentally and emotionally fit. Also, there will be various things for the people who are studying psychology or want to learn psychology. So, thank you so much. And one more thing is, if you want to ask some specific questions, because next time the topic that we are having is depression. So, we'll be demystifying the depression. If you want to ask any questions related to depression or the mental health, or you want to know anything about psychiatrist or the psychologist, any question comes to your mind, you're most welcome. You can write to Council India, and we'll be taking your questions at that time. Thank you so much for being a great audience. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.